Yeah.
Diesel and welcome back to Sound the Siren. I'm Xavier.
I'm Dylan. Welcome back to another episode, and I'm happy to be back as well. But I did cop a bit of stick last week, I saw, so we'll get into that in a moment. But boys, how are we after another SuperCoach week?
I'm pretty good. I had easily my best week of the season. So I scored 2,261, which was good for top 5%, and I went up 40,000 in the ranks. So pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah. No, I'm
Us?
doing well too. Yeah, no, I'm doing all right. Still on the rise. I think I've gone up 50K over the last 2 rounds. So after that poor start, I'm now back into a position where I feel like I can really push for, top 10K, top 5K, hopefully. Maybe even higher. But at this point, I'm very happy with my team and how it's looking.
Now, Zabe, you'll pop your screen up, and as you do that, I'll let you know how I went. I scored 2,252 last week, not too bad, and we'll see where my heroes were. It's one team in particular, but give us the rundown, Zabe.
So Doherty, it was a bit upsetting for me. Only 87, average of 89 for the year, and he's just leaking money at the moment, which isn't good. I was a bit annoyed. He scored 30, had 39 touches and 10 marks, kicked a goal as well, and he scored 87, which was super, super disappointing. But I'd still back him in to bounce back. He's done it before, and his role still looks pretty good because obviously 39 touches is very good. Jinbi, 104, really good. Laird, 114 as captain is solid, but it did hurt a little bit. Most people had English or Neil as captain, which hurt me a little bit, but yeah, pretty good. Chandler, 90 on field and Long, 78 on field. I was a bit worried with those two, but they both performed really well. And I touched on it last week, but Mitchell outscored Tom Green, which was led to a good performance for me.
Yeah, the forward line really gelling well, isn't it? And Noah Long, we spoke about it off camera just before, but with all the injuries and omissions for the Eagles last week, I'm hearing that they'll actually put him in the inside midfield role, which only we can assume will only increase his score of 78 already. Das, you're liking Noah Long as well.
I am liking Noah Long. He's looking pretty solid as a player. Do you have much money in the bank, Xavier?
I have, I think, almost 60,000. Yeah, 64,000. So quite a bit. There's a few things I'm not too happy with. I really want to get rid of Ridley. I think he's a fake primo. Maybe it's not too pressing if he's going to score 96s, but yeah, I don't think he's going to end up in the top 6 defenders. That's really the main one, and probably my F6 as well.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to. Your forward line looks pretty empty. That's all. Well, I was thinking, that's why I was wondering if you had any money. But I guess you've gone 3 of the top end premiums in the midfield as well as an extra premium with Mitchell, and then you got a few mid prices. So I guess that's where it's gone. But yeah, forward line looks a little bit empty at the moment. But they're still scoring well. If Chandler's going to put up 90s and Long's putting up 70s and Sheasley does his thing still, it's definitely not empty. But I just tend to see a lot of 4 premium, 5 premium forward lines at the moment.
Yeah, I was thinking we might touch on it a bit later, but it's going to be Setterfield isn't going to play this week, so I was thinking about doing the Setterfield to Zeeble switch. Probably score similar for the year, but I think Zeeble's going to get the forward defense eligibility, which is going to help. And yeah, with Setterfield missing a week, I might look into that. We'll see.
I know Das isn't as eager on the Zeeble option, and we were going to bring him up in the buy-sell hold, but we may as well attack it now.
No, I have Zeeble myself. I just don't really like the move of Setterfield to Zeeble because I feel like it's a very sideways trade, except, it just like Setterfield very well could score more than Zeeble on the season anyways. So you're only really gaining 1 week of better scoring going to Zeeble. But the forward and defense eligibility is a fair point, but I don't really see much of a point in making that move this week. Particularly if you're still able to loop on your bench, like your Constable players, you've got 2 options of looping with Baker or Constable. So even Davey, he'll probably put out a 50, 60. So I feel like, you'll only maybe gain 30 points from doing that trade this week. Yeah. And then you probably will lose that over the long run.
We talk about sideways trades. When should you have the license to trade sideways now with a total of 36 trades?
I just I don't like sideways trades full stop. Like a sideways trade to me is going someone who's going to score similarly on the year and is priced similarly. Like I just feel it's so pointless. Um, like if you go and say a Warpool to Setterfield, that's I don't think that's sideways. I think that's an upgrade.
Mhm.
Or something like that. Like sideways is just switching from same scoring, same price to someone else just for maybe you think they've got a better run for the next 3-4 weeks. But yeah, I don't like sideways in general, unless it's injuries.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Save. Das, did you want to hop up next or did you want me to go?
I can.
Yeah.
So this is how the team is tracking along. So I had a decent week, bit above par for sort of where we want to be pushing. So that helped me move up 10.5k. And I've had 31 trades going into this week. So the one trade I made so far this week is just Chesser to Phillips, which, I guess it's not really a sideways trade because Chesser's injured and Phillips is going to score much better and generate much more cash. But this is how the team's looking at the moment. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with my captaincy yet, but I'll see what you guys have to say about that. But yeah, so at the moment I got Gordon in the midfield, but as soon as Zeeble or Shees will have that defensive eligibility, he'll be swung forward and they'll be swung back. So I'll pretty much have a full forward line if you count Shees or Zeeble as premium. Shees will probably not, but I pretty much have a full forward line as soon as that happens. So I'll be pretty happy with that. But yeah, that's how it's looking.
You
Save?
want to touch on trading out Lockie Neal, Darcy? I know you're usually pretty against that, but
Yeah, I ended up doing it because I needed to restructure. I felt like I didn't like being that heavy in the midfield, considering the mids haven't been, absolutely dominating this year, and it seems like backs and forwards can score just as well at this point in time. So I sort of just had to restructure a bit, and I liked how it set me up to have a full forward line and an extra, long term hold in either Sheaves or Zeeble in the back line in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
So I feel I could just fill out my team a bit more just by that one move.
I think Liam Stocker is another interesting one. Obviously, he's a bit of a pod. Not many teams have him.
Hmm.
And he's been pretty solid, like for 200k average of 72 and a half. I know Dylan was high on him most of the preseason. I think he jumped off there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been good. I think you picked him over Liam Jones, probably saved you close to 50k, and you got
Oh no, I did have Jones, but Jones was the upgrade to Dacos last week.
oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so I think he's been better than Jones anyway. So um although Jones is looking good again uh he got after he got that first week score out of his rolling average anyway. So what about Goulden? Are you a bit stressed about an 85 or still
No.
comfortable?
Not at all. They're playing him on a wing sort of role, and I think it's because they were playing such a strong midfield in Melbourne, so they chose to play Mills more CBA, which I think reflected in the CBA numbers. So Gordon's dropped as he played more wing. But then, that second quarter they did play him on ball and he absolutely tore it up. I think we were watching it and it was about a 60-point second
Hmm.
quarter. So
Yeah.
as long as he's got that role that he usually has, I think he'll still average 105 to 110, which is fantastic in the forward line.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Stocker, I think he served you reasonably well. Were you expecting an average of 70 or a little lower?
I think 65 to 70 was what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to blow up and have any massive games, which would be really handy for cash gen. If you could just, pump out a 110, that'd be unreal. That'd get him up to 350, even 400k over the next few weeks. And then I'd be able to easily flick him across to a premium or a cheaper premium at the time, depending on, if a Stewart drops or something like that. That would have been really handy. But fortunately, Stewart put up that massive score last week, so it doesn't look like he'd be dropping too much compared to what he could have been. But yeah, the Stocker pick's just a bit of an intermediate one. I think he'd be one of my first traded out mid prices, just to get that easy upgrade. And I should only need about 100k ish for a downgrade elsewhere, to get Stocker upgraded. when that time comes.
Yeah. All right. Now I'll put mine up on the screen, Das.
I think one defender that will drop a lot in price is Doherty. I think he's already dropped like maybe 50k. And his break even's like top 15 highest in the league. So you're going to find him like 100k cheaper than he was at the start of the year, just in a week or two. So
Yeah,
if you
for
think
sure.
he can get back to like a 100, 110 average, then he'll be an easy one to get to as well.
Yeah, no, that's why I love it. Really big score out of Stocker.
Sorry, I just cut you off there, but that was me this season. And here's the side. Now, there's a couple of question marks. I did have to play Cowan last week, and then Setterfield was also traded in. Will Phillips is on the bench. But aside from that, I think Callahan's probably the weakness, obviously, in the midfield, and he's been a little disappointing in the past couple of weeks.
It's crazy that you had to field Cowan and you still got 250 or whatever.
Yeah, those pods, the Will Day and Dylan Moore, 131 and 139. They really helped with the Cowan and Callahan as well. Callahan and Horn Francis, I think, are two really interesting ones. After week one, they popped out like a 130 and 100. And I think they both got traded in a lot. But I was lucky to miss both of them, particularly Callahan. He definitely seems like a trap now, 61, scored a 37 on everyone's field. So, I think he's probably a must trade out. So lucky to miss him. Unfortunately, you've got him, Dill. So.
I did start with him though, as I did trade in Horn Francis. 84 isn't too bad, but I did start with Callahan, so I haven't had to experience the problems that others have in that
regard. Do you know what you're going to do with Callahan now? 263. It's a bit of an awkward price point if you don't have much in your salary cap.
Yeah, and Setterfield's out as well this week, so bit of scrambling to do, but I'm sure I'll find a way. Hopefully, the Hawthorn boys perform as they did last week.
I don't think that'll happen too much. They don't play North every week.
Yeah, true.
They have, who's it this weekend? Geelong.
Oh, actually, they could be on for another big one.
Yeah, seems like at the moment, yeah, for sure.
It does, doesn't it? But yeah, that's how the side is looking at the moment. But I'll fix it up, I'm sure. I spent a couple of hours last week rigorously trying to sort out what to do, and Cowan was the best bet in the end, and it could have been a lot worse. So that's how the side went. Now to buy, sell, hold, all yours. Das, take it away.
We'll start with a topical one at the moment. Brady Grundy. Dylan, we'll start with you. I know Xavier's thoughts, but we'll start with you, Dylan, on Brady Grundy.
Do you know off the top of your head what he scored last week?
130 something.
I don't think there's any point doing a sideways trade for him if you've got the structure of English market.
If you've got Darcy Cameron though, who's now out for 8.
Yeah, if you have Darcy Cameron, I'd definitely consider Grundy. Just as a pod, I think Tim English is probably the main priority at that price point, but I think Grundy, I like it, Das. I do like it.
So Grundy's coming in at around 500k at the moment, I think. So Gawn's still to miss 3 to 5 weeks. So the theory behind it is that he's a quick cash grab. And you can run with him for 3-4 weeks. He should score well. He should develop about 100k in cash, which could get you easily to a Tim English once Gawn's back. But I'm with the opinion that easy to just go straight to English, get those locked in scores. I'm not massively keen on Grundy, but I think Xavier doesn't mind it.
Yeah, so my thoughts are if you have Darcy, English, Marshall, Witts, 2 of those 4, then just stay with what you've got. But if you have Darcy Cameron, I'm definitely not against it. I think Grundy's proven in the past. I know he was down last year, but the 3 or 4 years before, he averaged 130.5, 130, 120.6, and 115.2. Even last year was still 103.5, including an injured game. So I think he's a proven scorer when he's the number 1 ruck, and we know Gawn's going to be out for the foreseeable future, at least probably the next 4 weeks. Grundy scored 143 this week, and if he can score 115, 120 at 500k, he's going to go up like maybe 100k, close to break even of 75 this week. So I'm definitely not against the pick. I think if you have extra money and you can get to English, then probably do that. But yeah, I'm definitely not against Grundy. I think he could be a really good option.
Two rookies, sort of rookies now, in similar boats. Kay Chandler and Sheasel. Kay Chandler's up to 200k, Sheasel's up to 300k. I think they're both probably still buys.
She's could be a buy for the whole year at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly. Chandler 200k is still not too badly priced for a player. It looks like he's going to be going 90 every week. He didn't have too many touches, but he still scored so well. It's just crazy to see. But yeah, I think personally, I think they could both still be buys if you got a bit of extra money and you do need that rookie.
Yeah.
Will Phillips, what do we think about him, Xavier?
Will Phillips is a really interesting one because I think he's going to score super well, and I think he's fieldable as well. We know he's got a really good role when he does play, but his job security is pretty weak. Obviously, he was named as a sub round one. For my team, I'm waiting to see if he gets named, and if he does, I'm going to trade out Radaglia to him, just because I think Radaglia isn't actually that good. He's not going to score that well, and Will Phillips, on the other hand, is. So yeah, if he's named, I think he's going to make a ton of money and really quickly too. But yeah, there's still every chance that he doesn't get named, so definitely watch out for that.
Which
Yeah,
is surprising because he's proven that he's got the aptitude to play in the midfield. It's just contingent on whether or not Simpkin, Davies-Uniacke all play, and sometimes if Cunnington's thrown in the middle. But I'm actually surprised that he hasn't solidified a spot as of yet. He had 65 in 2.5 quarters in round one, maybe even 3 full quarters, and then 78 last week in a loss as well.
Yeah, so round three, he played 74% of CVAs, which was more than everyone except for Todd Goldstein, who was solo rucking. So I think maybe the concern is that he's a bit one-dimensional, like he's an inside mid, and if he's not doing that, there's nothing else that he can do. But obviously, we know inside mid's one of probably the best role for SuperCoach. So if he's going to get that, yeah, it looks like he's a good option.
So who do you prioritise over Phillips if you've got Davies-Uniacke and Simpkin as well? Does he not fit in as a fourth, fifth position there?
I think they want to play Cunnington a little bit in there. Tom Powell is definitely going to play a little bit in there. Darcy probably can speak on it more. He's a North fan, so.
Well, no, it's probably that. I think there's just a couple more players that have a bit more flexibility. Yeah, they can play forward and they can play back as well as playing through the midfield, whereas Phillips is a bit more of an inside midfielder, so they'd probably rather play, Tom Powell who can go forward and kick goals over him. So we'll move on now so we already touched on Callahan. We think he's a sell, don't we? Warfel, what's your opinions there?
Wouldn't touch him.
For me, he's a hold. I definitely wouldn't be bringing him in after the week he just had. But I think he's had his first 2 scores were both 90s. And I'm looking up his break even now, but I'd say it wouldn't be, only 50. So he could still get that. If he pops out a 90 this week, the break even's going to go down. He's definitely a fieldable player, even though he scored 45. So it's a hold for me. Unless maybe you don't have a Z-ball, then could be an easy sideways trade. But yeah, I think a hold.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't be trading him in. For sure.
Darcy Cameron, obviously a trade now.
Sure.
He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Campbell Chesser is probably going to miss 4 weeks at least as well. I think he's a trade. Sam Flanders injured. He's probably a trade as well. He's at a decent price point where he might be the one where you move to like a Chandler or a Sheasel if you didn't have either. Or it could be a handy big downgrade to, maybe Van Rooyen or Tyler Brockman to then facilitate. What's that?
Sorry, just on Brockman, I'm glad you brought him up. I think he's definitely one to watch. Yeah,
he scored 89 in his debut. 123k price. Not too sure about his job security, but if he gets another good performance this week and is named in round 5, I think he'll be definitely one that I'll be looking to get in.
Yeah, I think I speak about it a lot, but I'm definitely against bringing in rookies that aren't on the bubble, especially when they weren't named round 1. So we're not 100% sure Brockman's going to be a best 22 player. And if you bring him in this week after an 89, it doesn't matter what he scores if he gets dropped the following week. You're going to have a donut that's at 123k, and hasn't changed in price. So for me, Brockman's definitely a wait. Give him one more week. So if he scores an 89 and is named again, then he's going to be a must-have player. But for now, I'd definitely just hold off.
Yeah.
Would you hold on to Doherty and Brayshaw? Dylan, you can go first here.
I think, given how we know how capable Doherty is, I'm willing to give him another week. If he produces another, I'd say less than 90, then at that point I'll probably have to consider trading him. But I'll give him one more week against North Melbourne too. Bit of a worry. I know you might think he'll dominate, but if the ball's not in the back line as much, you might have to flow through the midfield, and that's probably how he'll gain his points. Brayshaw is a little different, and they're not going to swing the axe on him like they did with Will Brodie, which was quite surprising. But it's really up to how Fremantle perform. They've been pretty underwhelming. So I'm willing to give them both another week and then at that point reconsider.
For me, I think Doherty is a hold. I think he's still going to be a top 6 defender, even though he started off really poorly. And I think even after this week, he's going to drop maybe 40k, even if he scores well. And at that point, at 520, it's probably not even worth getting rid of him, because I don't think you're going to get a better player for the same price. For Brayshaw, that's a interesting one, because his role is good. He's getting 77% CBAs. That's the second most on Fremantle, only behind behind Darcy, sorry. But he's averaging 86.7, which is not good at all. So I think it's probably up to the individual player. If you think he's going to bounce back, if you think he's going to score like he did last year, if you think he can be a top 8 mid, then maybe you hold on to him. But I don't know, he's been pretty poor. So I personally would probably get off him while I still can. Try and get to someone like a Oliver if you don't have him, Laird if you don't have him. But if not, maybe even like a downgrade to LDU probably isn't the worst option.
Yeah. Is it a reflection of Freo's performance, Save?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But again, I don't really rate Fremantle that much either. I don't think they're as bad as they have been. What are they? They're only won one game, so that's good. But yeah, I think if they are playing better, he probably fires a little bit more. But yeah, he's been super poor. So yeah, I probably would get rid of him.
I do feel like Brayshaw tends to finish the season stronger anyways. In the last 2 years, I feel like his second half's much better than his first half. So if you don't have him, I'd wait until the bye and then have a look at him. If you do have him, you're probably just going to get a rough few weeks, but you can either ride that through and not get him all year, or you can ride that through and hold him, or you can trade him out and probably won't be getting him back this year, even though he could have a good second half. Couple more. So I think Will Day at 402k. I think he's a buy. If you've got an injury in your back line, I don't know who really.
Setterfield today potentially.
No, I wouldn't do that. I just feel like
potentially like a Ridley or a Doherty today. If you're not interested in either of them,
yeah,
that might be a trade.
Yeah, or even a Jones or a Stocker. If you had a bit of extra cash, I don't mind it. LDU, I think, still a good trading option this week. I know he missed last week, but he'll be playing this week, and he still hasn't, had that price rise yet. I think he probably won't dip too far into 600k again this year. So I think this probably could be the cheapest you get him all year. And Clary, I think with him, he's at such a high price right now. If you didn't start him, you just got to wait until he puts out a bad score or two and drops to, hopefully 640k, and that's when you trade him in. I feel like up to 700k right now, it's just such a big trade up. You probably need to make 2 downgrades to get to Clary from anyone.
I think Clary might just be a buy, just because he's been ridiculous. 113, 135, 156. Sorry, I'm not sure that he does pop out a bad score for the rest of the year. So if he averages 115, 120, 125, then maybe you don't even get him in for that much cheaper than he is already.
All right, Save, we are a little constrained with time. Vice captain and captain, go.
For me, so let me get the fixture up. I think it'll probably be Lockie Neal, vice captain, if not Laird into Bont.
Das.
I'm really not sure. It's gonna be between Dacos. I don't think I'll buy Dunkley. It'll be between Dacos or maybe like a Laird for the early Saturday game. And then I'll see how I'm feeling about, maybe Tom Green as captain. That might be what I go with, but yeah, it's I'm not too sure at the moment. Maybe a Connor Rosé, but I would like to be English, but I feel like the 4:35 game on the Saturday is just a rough time to try to loophole unless I just back in English as a captain and don't worry about my vice.
I probably wouldn't captain Rosie. He might be a good vice captain if he was earlier in the week, but only one score this year above 100. So I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of downside there if he's your captain.
yeah.
Led into Wits for me.
Yeah,
Trades.
that's a good one. Led into Wits.
Um,
Sorry, you go, Das.
Mine's pretty simple. I'm just going to be going Chesser to Phillips if named. If not, I'll probably just hold off a week and then I'll go for a Brockman or a Van Royen.
For me, if Phillips is named, it'll be Radaglia to him, and then I'm going to see if I can do anything with Ridley, but he's probably going to be a hold.
Yeah, mine is TBA at the moment. There's a little bit of shuffling that I have to do. Now, boys, I have refrained from responding to the slack that I have copped in the last week, so I'll keep a cool head today. But anything else that we want to mention before the episode's end?
Nothing else from me.
Das.
I just think that, trading in Horn Francis after round one was a great move from you, Dylan. It's really going to set you up well for the season.
Hey, you watch when Horn Francis averages 120 for the next 5 weeks, all right? We'll see who's talking.
Probably put the captaincy on Callahan as well this week.
Wits, Jared Wits all the way. He has served me truly well. All right, be sure to follow all the socials in the description. Order your new footy beanies. There's some more that are being exported in.
No, we've got the flaggers, and we've got the restock for the Gone Mad ones, and we've got the Tiggers.
Be sure to check them out. They'll be in the link below, as well as the AFL SuperCoach Instagram, the STS Instagram, and everything else that you'll need. Also timestamps in case you do skip through the video. But be sure to enjoy. Take it easy. Good luck with your SuperCoach. Boys, good luck. We'll see you next week.
Taking questions on the STS Instagram, so hit him up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. Catch you later.